Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and I'm out of town this week, so I can't do whatever this week's seasonal event is, and that seemed like reason enough for us to try out some draft mode, because it's been a while since we last did it. In fact, there have been some changes to draft mode since we last played. That's how long it's been. But let's hop in, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. For those of you who don't know, draft mode is an alternate game mode in which we are creating a new deck from scratch. Basically, the game will give us 3 different options of 3 different cards to choose from, and over time, we'll select those types of packages until we have created a full deck, and then we'll play against other people who have gone through a similar process, and it does mean that it's possible to create some decks that you otherwise would not be able to use in any other event or game mode, because you can combine different factions together in the same deck. However, it is also very difficult to create a functional deck, because you will get a bunch of options that make no sense to combine together. So that's always the challenge, and for that reason, I am no draft expert. I have done it a few times before. I haven't tried it since the changes to the draft mode a few months ago, but we'll jump in here. Why don't we can either spend monies, spend ore, or spend our keys to do it. Well, let's spend our keys to make it happen. Depending on how well we do, we can get some rewards at the end. So let's jump in. And we have 3 options with our leader ability. We can either go Imposter, which is pretty safe, I would say, because Lock is almost always likely to be of some use, and then we can create a copy of whatever our opponent's best card is, so already leaning toward that. Lined Pockets, basically, if you're not a crimes deck, this leader ability is not going to be good. Guerrilla Tactics, if you don't have movements, this is not going to be particularly good, so I feel like we really should go Imposter here. It's the safe option at the very least. Then here are our first set of cards to choose between. So the trickiest thing about draft that I always struggle with is basically you can look at whatever cards seem best in a vacuum. However, you have to remember that you're going to be building an entire deck, and you're going to get random cards presented to you, and you don't know if you're going to get stuff that synergizes with what you just selected, or if it's going to be totally random stuff that makes no sense whatsoever. And that usually gets me in a lot of trouble. So we'll see what we can do here. I believe the way in which the game chooses which sets to offer to you has changed. That's one of the things that has been changed since we last played draft. But again, in a vacuum, Syndicate, I think, in general, is really tough. Because if you don't commit to it, then you're not going to have the coins to set up things like Philippa. Greater Brothers, maybe in a vacuum, is a little bit safer. But if you don't have a way to gain armor, then that could get removed. Treasure Huntress, that's pretty hard to get any value out of that if you're not going the dedicated Syndicate route. Nilfgaard Polarity, Torres in a vacuum is potentially an amazing card. So I do like that a lot. Toxicologist, that's certainly less consistent. Whenever card enters or leaves their deck, damage it by 1. Are we going to be able to do that consistently enough to be valuable? Well, I mean, actually, Torres... No, Torres does do it to our deck, not to their deck. Rot Tosser, if we have more poison, then that could be relevant. Otherwise, it's mostly just a 5-point body. Yigern, in terms of direct pointage, is potentially the most valuable here. Torres might still have him beat, to be honest. But... you do have to play him early. Potentially some consumption synergies there, but there aren't any consumption cards going along with him. And then Caranthir, oh my goodness. That's an absolute throwaway card. 1 base power, and we, unless we go all in on Frost, are not going to be able to make him get any boosts, especially not without the White Frost leader ability. So I think it's definitely Torres here. Okay, so now do we try to focus in on Nilfgaard adding stuff to our opponent's deck? I mean, this was pretty flexible. Torres works very well in a vacuum. Yorveth's Gambit, for example, does not. Don't have traps, it does nothing. So I think this is pretty much automatically a no. Reset an allied non-neutral order ability. Hold on, is it the deploy? It's the deploy that's so big for Torres. I mean, yes, you could reset his order and remove your worst cards from your deck another time around, and maybe there's some value in that for consistency's sake if you play Torres in round 1. But actually, what about once he's evolved in later rounds, he just doesn't have an order ability. It's all deploy at that point. Okay. So, I mean, there is some potential with Firaxis. He is a card that, yes, obviously you want to use him on your best possible cards, but because now that this changed a while ago, but since it's any non-neutral unit, we aren't locking ourselves into anything too specifically there. Centurion Artificer, I mean, it's a shield. It's not very ambitious, but it's something. Temerian Infantry, if we get a lot of boosts, then we can get decent damage there. Torres will get boosted. Artificer can be if we play him in the range row. Otherwise, it's Vi and nothing that consumes Vi. And that's definitely a card that you have to commit 100% to. Otherwise, your deck is not going to be good. So I think it's, just for simplicity's sake, definitely Viraxis. And then Kraken. If we can get the damage to destroy it, could be great. On-Crate Warrior, though, not very good. Armor Up, not a huge fan of it. It is a little bit of damage for Kraken. Also should think about our leader ability to the extent that that synergizes with cards, and that's not great for Kraken. Roach does give us more consistency. I mean, between Roach playing additional cards and Torres banishing the worst cards from our deck, that could get us to the point where we're playing just about everything. So I do kind of like it. Add Hubert. Now, are we going to have enough orders to make that work? There's one. There's one on Viraxis and a second one, assuming we were able to reset someone. Raw Tosser. Okay, you know, we actually do have, at least at the moment, a decent number of orders fairly early on. Or we go neutral with a dragon. Oh, no. No. It's Northern Realms here, I think. Again, it's the most straightforward. Not the end of the world if we can't set up Hubert, but if we can get more orders, that'd be kind of nice. And then Death Mold. Do you have any mages? Not yet. Besides himself. Does it work on himself? I don't even remember, to be honest with you. Okay, now Syndicate again. In all likelihood, the answer is no. It's definitely no. Treant Boar, movement, Gourd if we have specials, which we don't. Weeping Willow if we have a bunch of unique categories, ways to proc Harmony. Again, Harmony is no longer Scoia'tael specific, so it's not that difficult to proc it anymore. So there actually is some value on that. And Treant Boar, even if we don't have a lot of movement stuff, it is still 2 points every other turn. So that's not terrible. Grog, transform all people into Revenants. That's a lot of orders. That is a lot of order abilities, which would work very well for getting out Hubert, if we were really committed to that. Bombardment, we have one siege engine, as things currently stand, I believe. So that's not really doing that much. It's 4 to 5 damage. And another Revenant, which is not that valuable outside of maybe being another way to help set up Hubert. So basically, how much are we committing to that? In a vacuum, this is a little bit safer, a little bit, arguably a little bit better. This synergizes a little bit more with what we have, but that's a little bit debatable. Might still go Scoia'tael here, and I mean, this is a repeatable order. This is a one-time use order, so that's still a potential way to set up Hubert. Herald, though, is pretty bad. So when we see him, we're going to want to almost certainly mulligan him. Mysteries of Loch Fiend. Now, we did actually end up taking a single Harmony card, so it is technically possible for us to proc at least the first chapter, and that's not bad, but that's still very unreliable when we have only one card to work with it. However, given how we have Roach and we have Torres, both of which can help us improve our consistency, maybe that could work. Maybe that even if we only have one card to synergize with this, we could still make it happen. Otherwise, Rainfarn, oh, no, we don't have enough ways to boost our opponents for that to be relevant. I think we're ruling this out. Then Morvid. Ooh. Very strong. However, this is one case where at least Roach can potentially be a double-edged sword, because might unexpectedly get more of it out from our deck much earlier than we would like, and at that point, we're potentially wasting him. So that could be unfortunate. Otherwise, outside of that, I mean, we potentially might be able to, as long as we're being careful, mitigate that risk. If there's a card in this, alright, basically you need to play it turn 1, or be the first card to be placed in a row, and then fill up that row very quickly. Works best with a Rocket Swarm. I don't really think we're going to have enough ways to fill rows for that to be all that effective. Apiary and Phantom is not bad, though. Yeah, usually you see the high provision cost cards, and then the other ones are much weaker. But in this case, we're getting an 8, and we're getting a 7 provision cost card, so even the low end is pretty solid. I mean, you could make the case that, or definitely, that Armored Rock is the weakest card here. Maybe the Apiary and Phantom is enough to make this worthwhile. It's one of these two. How much do we want to bet on Mysteries of Lockfiend? So if we can get Chapter 1, that initial the prologue, it's worth what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 points? So that's not great, and then triggering Chapter 1 is maybe 1 point per turn, so still not that good. Still not that good. I think we go monsters. Okay, then Skellige Bolmar. If our opponent has a crowded row, that is pretty solid. Doesn't require much additional setup. On-Crate Warrior, pretty bad. Veteran, do you have any reason why we'd be able to benefit from self-damagey stuff? Oh, I also forgot about Toxicologist to the extent that we might want to build around that, but I'm not really sure that we do. I don't really think so. Ooh. Vernaseal is quite good in a vacuum as well, though. Range row, you can go pretty wide. Treant Boar, we already have one, right? Yeah, that's another way to get more orders. And then Dryad Matron does synergize well with Treant Boar, so I do like the built-in synergies here. Or we go Marigold's Hailstorm, 10 damage, split across a bunch of enemies. Operator. Do we have bronze cards that would benefit us more than our opponents? Not really. Sarah, I don't think we have enough specials to make that. We definitely don't have enough specials to make that work. I mean, similar problem with Herald, but I think we do this. Okay, then Syndicate, again, is almost certainly an automatic no. Saul is pretty weak here, but Pugo and Senior, there's potentially a case to be made for those. Otherwise, we're looking at Selkirk. We have ways to boost him? Oh, we could reset his order. Oh, hold on. Okay, now technically, if the stars align, we can get a pretty solid Selkirk setup. If we go Selkirk, put a shield on him with the Artificer, suddenly his dueling is way more effective. Then we could even reset his dueling with Viraxis. Trollolo, we do have some orders we've been stacking, so that's not bad either. Then the Purification, I mean, maybe. Who knows? I suppose it's nice to have at least the option of purifying in case something important gets locked. Vi, again, yet no. This is just one of those cards that you need to build an entire deck around, and if you don't do it, then it's pretty ineffective, and you need a bunch of tutors to get it back out, so it just feels like that's a recipe for disaster. That's a bit of a trap. So I think it's the Northern Realms one here. It's pretty solid, or at least the high-end potential is quite solid. Okay, then Syndicate, Coins. I don't think we're going to have any Clerics. So yeah, this is just a no again. Feign Death, Dryad Ranger, Chameleon. We did not take the other scenario, did we? No. I think we do have some Elves. I'll double check in a second, but I mean, this would be Harmony Synergy. Did we take, we did take Weeping Willow, so there's a tiny bit of synergy there. Technically, that's kind of a net 0 play, because it'll be -1 point on the Chameleon whenever we do that, +1 on the Weeping Willow. The Dryad Ranger, okay, well, that is also Harmony, so if we have both of them on the board, that it is +1 point every time we play Chameleon. So, kind of tricky to make it work, but maybe just barely worthwhile, and we don't have much, if any. We have a tiny bit of poison with Rot Tosser, right? So maybe that means Dryad Ranger can give us poison removal, but at least you have that melee row option if you want to play it safe, just go for the damage. So then, do we have the elves, though? I thought we had some. We have Vertiseal, so that's at least one way to set it up. Vertiseal does work really well with Feigned Death. Especially if we can get more chapters going here. But was it just her for the elves? It might be at a quick glance. Portal is not bad. That's another way to thin out from our deck, but we already have several ways to do that. Dryad Matron is an amazing target for Portal, but we might get... the Artificer is fine. I mean, we potentially miss out on the formation boost, but we can live with that. It otherwise be Toxicologist. We miss the deployability. He'd basically just be a 4-point body. We only have 3-4 provision cost cards, though. So if we have 2 of these in our hand, or it's a later round when we see Portal and we've already played one of these, then there's pretty significant chance that we just brick Portal altogether. So I think we probably do still go this route. I think this might be our last set, though. I think the last option here is just our stratagem. So maybe we can only get the first chapter of Feigned Death, but we should still have opportunities to fine-tune our deck further in between matches. Just little bits and pieces here and there, and maybe we can pick up an additional elf at some point in that process. Poison. We have a little bit, a tiny bit of it in our deck. Maybe that means this is just enough poison to be able to more consistently do it once. But if we don't have either the Dryad Ranger or the Rot Tosser in our starting hands in round 1, then this is pretty useless. So I don't love that. And I don't know if we have a single Death Wish card. At least I can't remember us taking one. So I think Urn of Shadows is almost certainly a no. So it's basically just, do you take the safe enchanted armor? Not great from the standpoint of pure value, because it's only a 3-point stratagem. It does give us some armor, but I don't really think that's super relevant. It does have some carryover potential. That's really what differentiates it from other stratagems. Okay, you know, for example, you could put it on... where'd he go? On Seltkirk, give him a boost, give him the armor, which does at least help him survive, or, you know, have more power after using his initial duel, which if we're trying to use Viraxis to recycle that duel order, then that could be useful. So I think we probably do this, and, you know, otherwise you're just getting a few additional points on somebody, whoever you want to do it on, and maybe it's basically just 3 points in that case, but I think we do that. We might, I forget if you can get the chance to swap out your stratagem on a later occasion. But okay, so we'll have, what, 7 matches total? So I feel, don't want to jinx it, but I feel okay about this deck. It feels like, you know, we weren't super ambitious trying to go all in on any one archetype, but we have cards, a lot of cards, that work reasonably well, even without much setup, and a few things here or there that can synergize with each other. So just a matter of am I going to remember all the things that we technically would like to try to save and use together, or are we going to either forget about those things, which I definitely will do at some point, at least to a certain extent, or will it just not be feasible to make that happen? So let's hop in. We'll see what we can do here. Okay, so it is Scoia'tael. Don't let, or rather, Nilfgaard, don't let Filavendrel mess with your head there, because he already did for me. Or it's double cross. Could be any combination of factions for their cards, though. Torres, I think we still prefer to play him in round 1. The Vertiseal we'd like to save along with our leader ability. I think we keep more of it in hand. That way Roach is safe to play. Don't like the Armor to Raucous. Want to keep you in deck. Okay, so that pretty much doesn't give us many choices there. Okay, we do have one source of poison in hand. Do we have other sources of poison here? I don't think so. Mutagenerator. That's an interesting one. That is a very interesting one. Okay, so I think we just start with the Apiarian Phantom. It's an engine. It'll gain value over time. So don't need to overthink that one too much. As for whether we want to play Torres in this round, that's a different question. Okay, now you we would like to hit at least once. Use their leader ability immediately. Wow, that's extremely aggressive. They take row. Oh, I already hate them with a burning passion. You have played my least favorite card in the entire game. I hate you. It is truly that simple. Okay, fortunately, one of our two cards has Veil, which does kind of brick Tibor. He is, of course, a very high base power card. So, from a tempo standpoint, he's still good in that sense, but hopefully from an engine standpoint, he's not going to be as good. Okay. Maybe we'll just go... No, but I don't want to use Vernoseal. We'll play you. Does mean kind of need to use a lot of orders to get good value out of you, which I'm not necessarily sure we're going to be able to do. Also, probably would have preferred to put you in this row. Right, Delirium. Still was thinking of that as, oh, that's damage to a row. It's no longer the case. Also, the turn timers, I believe, have changed. That's one of the things... They're quicker now than they used to be. That's one of the things that has changed to draft mode since I last played, at least. Okay, so you're going to get hit. That kind of stinks. You want to use orders. Should we Torres? We should probably Torres, right? Let's Torres. Okay. Sure, we'll take you. We'll take low power cards then after that. So that way we get a pretty big boost on Torres. So at least one big card in terms of the value of actually playing it. And then most of the other stuff is not very good and mostly just a way to get Torres boosted up. Didn't have a lot of time to give it much thought to the little ones as to whether they're actually going to be worth playing. This is going to take a little while to use that as well then. Their deck is pretty good. The Oldrick is pretty valuable. Okay, let's do this. Let's get rid of... I think we dump the Chameleon. Oh no, we dump Gord, we dump you, and we dump you, I think. Then, oh, I should have played this earlier. I forgot about you. You are also an engine. One that we meant to play earlier. Because more value, more orders used. Okay, that's extremely greedy of them. This was also how I was planning to get rid of, or destroy the shield on Windhelm that I just kind of completely forgot about. But we can poison to remove Windhelm. So we have enough poison now. So let's do that. And they use Tibor, which means that they gave us an extra card. I don't like Tibor hitting you, though. So now we do this in the ranged row. Poison. And sure, put it... I mean, obviously we're not going to be able to actually target Tibor with another poison, but do this. And we might even... technically, we can play one more turn. So maybe we'll hold off on order abilities. Not sure just how much value we get from this. Okay, we win. We win this round. And still get another boost here, just making sure no end of turn effects are gonna change that equation, but I think we're fine. So that worked reasonably well. We shut down Tibor. That's always a win. Okay, we did draw into Olaf. That's probably a good thing. Would have been good against Tibor in particular. The Chameleon only really works if we happen to draw into our Harmony stuff, so that's a bit of a risk. Caravan Vanguard. Mostly just added it to our deck because we because we wanted to boost up our Torres, so we played one more card than them. Or we actually played 2 more cards than them, but Tibor gave us an extra card. Point being, we could dry pass, or we could just use the throwaway here. I was going to use Temerian Infantry as our finisher if we needed to play another turn in the previous round, but we didn't. And at this point, we could still get some boosting, so not really sure how valuable that's going to be. I don't think they had any specials for Alyssa to target, so I don't think that's a factor. Curious. It looks like they're using this. Oh, no, what? No, I can see there. That's fine. That's totally fine if you want to give us that again. Okay. So, and we still have our leader ability. They used theirs. I forgot about that. Okay, so that could be impactful as well. So I think we just pass here. Again, not really trying to do anything particularly ambitious here in this round, and if they do continue to play, we get more time to power up Morford. That's another little victory, is we got him in hand and didn't have to play him in round 1, so he's already had some good time to develop. Piece of Blood, I mean, fine. Just a throwaway for them, presumably. So they'll win round 2. Okay, so we draw to Trololo. The Purification might matter. It would have been good against Tibor. Caravan Vanguard maybe is relevant. Who knows? Remember, we can get more cards out with Roach. Okay, there is our Harmony stuff. We would like to play you early. Maybe we can still make that work then. I think we dump you. No! I forgot that we still had you in deck. Okay, I'm not really sure we're going to have enough orders to make that happen. 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, who knows how many? Yeah, we probably were. All right, fair enough. Oh, right. Obviously, they have an Olaf because it was in their starting deck. That's how we got ours in the first place. This is a pretty good target for Imposter. It'd be even better if they put some more stuff in that row that we could get some statuses on. But let's start with you. The question is mostly just, do we immediately lock Olaf? I guess we'll do it. Yes, we'll do it. Be kind of nice if we could save it for a little bit longer, but we'll play it safe. Okay, Vandergriff's Blade. Oh, that's unfortunate. So we're about to get you boosted up on our next turn out of removal range, but alas, not quite. Not quite. Okay, so now you're an engine. We'd like to get you down early. You're also an engine. We'd like to get you down early. Anything else that we want to play as soon as possible? Roach might give us something that is an engine. We don't really know definitively. I think we'll use you. Yeah, we could have gotten decent value from the Temerian Infantry if we had saved that, because you were going to give us some boosts. They have Selkirk as well. Uh-oh. I don't like that timing. I don't like that timing. So you're not fast enough to shield people, although we might still use you here, because it's a card that they don't want to hit. Or you don't have a shield, you just give a shield. Okay, well, alrighty then. They might go after I imagine they're going to go after the Matron, in which case, yes, she's an engine, so it's still decent value. Obviously, not very high base power, so from that standpoint... Oh. Oh, they'll do that instead. Okay, so that's kind of what I meant by the whole maybe we should have saved Imposter thing. Still would have only gotten, a lower base power Selkirk on our side, but we could have used his order ability. For us. So I think now let's use Trololo. And I kind of want to save this order until we use Roach and hopefully get our Selkirk out here. So that's probably what happens next. Also want to save Furnace Heal in case we get our scenario. Do we have any damage to mess with you? If we get Selkirk, we do. Okay, so let's do this. Do we care about the row? Let's do this, just in case. I would have preferred the other spot, but okay. Caravan Vanguard is actually very valuable on this occasion. We hit you. And then maybe we can get rid of you. You know, some risk creating an extra copy of Visigoda in their deck. See if they can punish us for that. But no really big cards there. And that stinks. Wow, they have a lot of boosting. They have a whole lot of boosting. Okay, so I don't like that. I don't like how much engine-y stuff they have going on. Yeah, that might have been the worst well, Caravan Vanguard was valuable, but missed you, and you, which is a pretty big deal. Okay, so now we know it is safe to play Vertiseal, so I guess we'll do that. And I guess we'll put the shield on you, because you're, at this point, the card that is, well, I guess we had to play Vertiseal in the Rain Trail, but means we weren't going to get any value out of you on that turn. Okay, I mean, they might be able to set up Johanna if they play stuff out from their deck. But we don't have any damage left. So now let's put something here. I think we probably delay our biggest cards. In case they do have additional tall removal. Obviously, this is a lot of tempo. So that's pretty much what we're relying on here, because they have absolutely out-engined us. Geralt's Ard. Okay. Does remove some armor, unfortunately. Technically, it would have been a way to boost up Olaf, but presumably they wouldn't have hit him, of course. We'll put Death Mold here. He cannot boost himself. Fair enough. Oh, right. We did... That's true. We did see some cards in their deck when we used Torres, so should have seen this coming. Okay, I mean, the worst thing we have is that they're gonna get a one. We're gonna lose 1 point of boost. They're gonna gain 1 point of boost, so it's not a huge deal. I think we use Olaf just in case his order ability is relevant. I doubt that it will be, but we'll put you there, and it's basically gonna all come down to Morvid. Yeah, didn't they get a highly boosted card with Selkirk, which actually meant that it was not valuable? Hit that, I swear. Do it, I dare you. No. Okay, with the boost, I think we just won by... Would be 1, or actually 2 points if we play you here, so 20-point Morvid. Turns out, pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. Alright, so we'll win this match. That's certainly good news. So glad to see that this was not a completely botched draft run. We've at least gotten 1 win. Now we can, if we'd like to, choose to add 1 set to our deck, and then if we do that, we're going to have to remove a set from our deck. So if we don't like what we see here, we can just say no. Like in Search of Forgotten Treasures, with this stuff that is insufficient to set it up, yeah, no thanks. Definitely not that. Champion's Charge, Herald plus Skjal. Maybe. Not really sure we're going to have enough damage cards to set up that Bloodthirst 3. If we could, it'd be fantastic, but that feels like that's unlikely to happen. Herald is potentially a way to set it up, but that's still not guaranteed because it's a random unit that gets damage from the Herald's pals. And then Skjal, high tempo. Not bad in that sense. If you can play him late on when he's not going to get hit, then great, but otherwise you run the risk of him getting destroyed. Then otherwise, Mamuna, hold on. Do we have any duplicate bronzes? I don't think so. So Mamuna is basically not going to do much of anything for us, or it's definitely not worth its provision cost. And generally these sets are balanced based on having 1 card that's high provision cost, high value, but that means that the highest value card is not that valuable, so no thank you, in all likelihood. Navigator, no Frost to set it up. Witch Apprentice, I mean, that's the best card in this set. but I don't think that's reason enough to take it. It's basically just, do you want this set or do you want to skip? Do we have more damage than I'm giving us credit for? Feign Death. No, we don't have enough to get to Waylay. If we could get another elf, that'd be nice, but I don't think we have any here. And therefore, no other elves to set up Furnace Seal for damage in the melee row. Selkirk is potentially one source of damage. Tree and Boar, two of them, that's probably our best way to set up Champion's Charge. Apiarian Phantom to a small extent. Dryad Ranger to a small extent. Temerian Infantry. I mean, it's possible. Toxicologist, it is possible. It's not necessarily easy. Especially if our opponent has boosts, then we definitely wouldn't be able to. I mean, worst case scenario, it's a 5-point damage card, then it might be good enough. In a vacuum, still, even if we don't have these things perfectly set up, this might still be good enough. Let's try it. Because I feel okay about where our deck is right now. So, for that reason, don't necessarily want to make any drastic changes. Okay, so, as I said, you add a set, you need to remove a set. I think Torres was great for us. The other stuff in his set, not as much, but Torres alone is probably reason enough to keep that. Roach, we got kind of unlucky with him. He wasn't that effective. Hubert, unfortunately, we bricked in round 3, but otherwise, just barely looked like we were going to be able to make him work. Deathmold, 6-point body. So he is a brick. I mean, at least it's 6 points. So a little bit better than 4 or 5. But, so you could justify removing this. The Feign Death is, of course, supposed to be the big thing here, and as we were saying before, we only have one elf, so... Yeah, I mean, they do kind of synergize with one another. It doesn't have to be Feign Death, then Vernaseal. It could be... no, it kind of does have to be that. But it could be either melee or... Nah, it has to be Ranger or Vernaseal still. Okay, so maybe this combo is really not as good as we are giving it credit for. Is what it's commit... Yeah, we get additional Deadeyes. We, with Vernaseal, can make it so that the Vernaseal's commando will still get boosted even when we have non-elves on the board. But is that really worth the trouble? Honestly, I think the bigger deal is that the Dryad Ranger... Not that this is an amazingly valuable card, but we do not have a lot of poison. We have just barely enough to remove one card with poison. So... removing a source of poison means that suddenly all of our other poison cards are completely irrelevant, like basically removing Dryad Ranger, bricks, Rot Tosser. Unless we go, technically we could Ranger a Weeping Willow, but that's so much less valuable that in general I would rather not do that. Did we have any other sources of poison? Yeah. And then Chameleon... Another one where technically, at least with Dryad Ranger and Weeping Willow on the board, it was worth something, but it wasn't a huge deal. I think we're probably dropping this. And the poison's going to be tough. If we can get it later on from another source, that might be good. Or if we can drop Rot... Well, no, but was Rot Tosser part of the Torres group? In which case, we're probably going to keep it. So, yeah, if we can find a poison elf... If such a thing exists. Oh, no, but we don't need elves anymore. So, just poison would be kind of nice. Let's jump in. So, first match, I mean, we got huge value from our big point slams. Some of our more complicated cards didn't work out as well for us, which is probably a pretty good representation of, that is, in general, the risks you run in draft mode. Okay, so it is Skellige. Both with the leader you see here, in terms of the character, and also the ability, Blaze of Glory. So, okay, like the Apiarian Phantom, early in round 1, I kind of like having more of it in hand, so that we can... we still have Roach, so that way we can avoid accidentally getting it out with Roach. Dump Herald Gourd. Toxicologist is a little bit questionable. But Artificer without our Duelist is not very good. So I think this is fine. So it's probably... I mean, we could technically go Herald turn 1 if we really wanted to. See what they do. You're also a good early round engine. Okay, so we have some engines to work with here. You guys are also engines. Those give us orders, which can help us set up the thinning from Hubert, which is probably a pretty good idea. Okay, so this is going to spawn in more stuff, which means potentially if we can get little... It's going to spawn in 2 power volunteers. It's kind of hard to get Bloodthirst on those without destroying them. Let's go Treant Boar. Turn 1. Then maybe Matron, then the other Treant Boar we play will have Zeal at that point. So that might be our methodology here. Then maybe we'll end up saving the Apiarian Phantom for a later round. Okay, for Mead. It's not a great place to play him, because he could have been a way to help set up the crew. And they didn't use... Okay. You do you. Let's do this. Actually, Toxicologist, if we can get it down before they use Mask of Ouroboros, can give us some additional value as well, but I think this... Technically, I wanted to put you in the other row, didn't I? Fair enough. We'll hit you. Yes, you have the armor, but... That's, more valuable than for me it is, at least at the moment. Yeah, that's why you wanted to put that there. So you would have had crew. Granted, this is coming from the guy who missed out on a 1-point play there. Savage Bear. Put it on this guy. I dare ya. Okay, they did not. Alright, so you're going to have Zeal, because we have a Dryad. So we do that, you're going to move into this row, we're going to move you back, so we will still have something in that range row for the Matron to boost, so that's okay. On this turn, we'll get value. Alright, so let's weaken you, and then it's a question of do we just remove you with damage from the Treant Boars, or do we try to start weakening a bunch of stuff to set up a Champion's Charge on something? Okay, thank you for hitting the card that's going to get healed. Okay, so alright, Toxicologist. It was going to be 1 extra point, not that that was going to be a huge deal, but we'll see. If they play something really big, then that might give us reason to focus on Champion's Charge. They used their stratagem. They did not play a card quickly enough. Alright, so I think in that case, maybe we keep it simple here. Maybe we will use Toxicologist. And that is a way to get 1 more damage card. So why don't we just do that? We'll do this, move you, and now we do have Bloodthirst 3, which means if they play something big here, we can just outright destroy it with Champion's Charge. But they're going wide instead. That's more difficult for us to deal with. At least with Champion's Charge. Now it gets a little trickier, because I don't really want to play Roach. It's late enough in the round that Apiarian Phantom doesn't feel great. As we were saying, Champion's Charge doesn't have a great target right now. Morva, definitely don't want to play yet. Weeping Willow would have also been an early round card. I think it's Herald, and if it is Herald, we should put you here. Oh no, I meant the other row. Oops. Because, I do not want the Herald's Pals to get boosted. I mean, technically it'll be the Treant Boar, so I guess it doesn't matter. I would love for something that damages, like a Lacerate here, would be incredible. Kind of want them to play something big, because kind of just need an excuse to play Champion's Charge right now. Gettyneath. Whoa. When you don't have room for it. Also, they were on blue coin. We were on red coin. We're still many points ahead. I think we just pass right here, right now. So that means they're going to have to go cards, they're either going to have us win round 1 a card up, or they're going to have to go and have permanent card disadvantage to win this round. And even then, 12-point lead, I mean, unfortunately, this stuff is not quite going to work after we passed. But, I mean, they didn't get the value they were looking for from getting ETH either. That's not good enough. So I think they are in a boatload of trouble here. And of course, we pass early. They keep on playing. That actually means just extra turns for Morvid to get powered up. Fallen Knight. Oh man, if they played that at the beginning, it could have been really good. But not now. Not now. Now it's just a lose-lose situation. Sewer Raiders. They don't have another one, though. But that is enough points. Please pass. For your own sake, please pass here. Okay, good. Alright, so I don't want to say this match is already won, but it would take a lot for us to lose at this stage. Maybe I just jinxed it. Okay, so we have 4 card advantage. They should, by all accounts, dry pass here, but who knows at this point. Herald is arguably the worst card in our deck, but he is a decent throwaway, so in some ways I'd kind of like to keep him. I mean, Armored Arrakis could be a throwaway as well, though, so, I mean, Vernasil is great. So, I mean, the biggest risk here is if they do keep on playing, we're going to have to start playing some relatively big things, which would be kind of unfortunate, but we'll live with it if that does happen. In that case, we'll just rely on our huge card advantage, because, I mean, at this point, even if they do dry pass, we still have big card advantage going into round 3, so that's what I mean when I say it's not a lot of ways out of this situation for them right now, and that does not help. That does not help. Okay, I think we'll start with Apiarian Phantom. It's enough tempo initially here. It is an engine. It'll gain value over time. But it's not one of our humongous cards, so we feel okay about playing it now. Plague Maiden. Okay, a little more tempo. A little more tempo. You are our throwaway. And, I mean, I'm not really expecting us to be able to set you up for your boost 12 ability. I mean, technically, Vernasil can help us go wide a little bit, but I think we just play you. You, that is. And we just accept the fact that you're going to be a 5-point body, and that's okay. Gregory... Yeah, no, not... Okay, fair enough. Our armor actually paid off there. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you haven't evolved yet. I forgot about that. Yeah, I think, big as you are, we probably do want to do that now. In case we do find some good stuff here. Sure, we'll take Scoundrel. We'll take you. We'll take something to get a big boost on Torres. So, a little bit of a mixed bag there between adding cards that would be valuable to play and just getting boosts on Torres. But I think I do prefer him, using him before he transforms. Oh. Okay, no. Okay, just you're gonna boost yourself by the amount you just boosted, but that's not a huge deal. Because we have out-tempoed you, so we do not even need to play, so we will have 5 card advantage going into round 3. Okay, so now this is what I was alluding to before. Yes, technically, if we go Range Row, Weeping Willow, we do have enough poison to remove. But I think you're just a brick, because we want to play you in the melee row instead. Skjall, I mean, we have, what, like, quintuple assay or something along those lines, so we should be able to play you pretty safely. So I think we can go Weeping Willow first. Melee row to set up the boosting there. And then other engines, Trollolo, and then we probably want to get Roach out and just see what we get from him. Sire. Alright, we did see several of their cards when we used Taurus' ability. They put, wait. Put something back in our deck. Okay, wasn't really expecting them to do that. We'll go Trollolo, I think, as we were saying, is probably the next best option for us. I mean, for what it's worth, with their leader ability, they might be able to destroy one of our cards. That, in particular, would make Skjall pretty vulnerable here. But we still have our leader ability, so if they play something that has a decent ability, or rather, a more like decent base power, or a decent passive ability, I suppose, decent order, then we could use it. So now I think we use Roach and we just see what we get. Okay, granted, you're not great, and I can't see what's mine. Oh, well, it's about as unlucky as we could have gotten. We would have gotten Hubert out eventually. We're pretty close. Order 1, Order 2, Order 3. Actually, yeah, just barely, I think. Dowodric. Okay. So that's the last card. They won't even bother to play him in the range row. They don't have time to use him. They can use leader ability, though. Which they will do. Okay, yeah, no, with a 12-point scoundrel is not bad. That was an engine they hit. But we should just need to play one card here. So, you know, we'll be nice. We'll do earn a seal. Leave it at that. Don't need to rub this one in. So I think, yeah, this might have been a newer player, but, you know, we'll win. We'll win this one. So we are 2-0 thus far. That one may be a little bit harder to gauge. You know, if we like, I don't even remember what the most recent change we made to the deck was. We added, what, Herald and a few other Skellige guys, Skjall, which we, for the most part, we used Herald, not very much, but okay. We do have, once again, the option to add a set and then remove a set. Siggy, definitely not. Vinci, definitely not. Mutated Hounds does give us a little bit of extra poison. We were saying that might be kind of nice, but I don't think this is the way to do it, because it adds 2 cards that are otherwise pretty much bricks. Donar. Damage could be useful. Madman Lugos could be useful as well. Delirium. Ooh. I actually really like Delirium here, because we do not have many Skellige cards in our starting deck, so there are lots of things we could get out of this. Obviously, the initial copy with the bronzes is maybe not going to be that good, but by the time we get to the echoed one, and we're choosing gold options, that could be quite good. Amphibious Assault, though, just double check how many targets we might have for that. Toxicologist, Stride Matron, Artificer, Temerian Infantry, Rot Tosser. Can be anything that's non-neutral. Even get you. Herald's Gourd. No, we kind of want to dump you if we can. Hyperion Phantom. The other Herald. Weeping Will. Okay, yeah, actually, we've a ton of stuff that we can get with that. So, Amphibious Assault is not bad. Another way to give ourselves shield. We've seen the Artificer. We've never seen Selkirk yet. Feels like he doesn't exist. But that's in theory what we're trying to do, is combine those two together. Retaining Elite. Point Slam. Yeah, if it gets, you know, its armor removed, then it does lose that boost. But that's another card we could potentially put the shield on. So both of these are decent. The Amphibious Assault does give us some consistency, which is quite nice. But the lower end is probably not as good as the... This is more well-rounded. This is more top-heavy, for sure. Understandably, given the provision costs here, but... I might actually prefer this, though. I might actually still prefer this. Yes, Amphibious Assault could be amazing for us, but if we get stuck with just these two, I mean, we've seen times where we have just the Artificer, who by himself is pretty much, I don't want to say useless, but he can be pretty close to useless. Whereas Donar, at least he's a 7, worst case scenario, potentially more than that. Lugos, I think we have enough damage that at least if we time him well, he can be pretty solid. And then Delirium, it's a bit of a dice roll, but I think it's controlled enough that we can make some use of that. Obviously, we'd like to get it early so that we can get the echoed copy in later rounds, but okay, we are keeping this. We are keeping this. All right, if we have to remove one of these, which we do, I think Morvid has been incredible. In part because we've gotten very lucky in drawing Morvid in both of our matches thus far. You're a throwaway, yes, but the Apiarian Phantom has been pretty solid as well. I'm leaning toward Roach. Removing Roach. Hubert, yes, in theory, gives us some thinning, some consistency, some extra points, but we have found it just a little bit too difficult. We've gotten unlucky in both games thus far, but it's just been a little tough to get him out. So maybe we're overreacting to that a little bit, but Death Mold is a useless card, or borderline useless card. He's 6 points, nothing else. So maybe we can still justify dumping this, whereas Vernaceal, solid point slam, Treant Boar, Engine. So this is good. This is, yeah, I think it's you. I think it's still you. But, I mean, our deck is pretty solid, reasonably well-rounded. So that's, in general, if we do want to add a set, then we're going to have to remove a pretty decent set. But let's hop back in. Okay, so we'll be going against Fruits of Yizgith. So, don't let the dwarf deceive you. It's monsters, except that they're going to have a combination of all the different factions in their deck. This is our first one on Blue Coin, I think. It's also our first time seeing Viraxis, so we've yet to have to consider what we want to target him with. Well, Selkirk is the preferred target if we can get the shields. Can we get the shields? We dumped Rot Tosser here, I think. Toxicologist, Lugos, potentially okay, but... Okay, there is shield. Okay, so suddenly that makes it much more valuable to use Selkirk with Viraxis. We'd like to technically wait to use that until later rounds so we can also have Viraxis evolve, in which case I think we are probably doing, as we did, I think in one of our previous games, mostly Treant Boars and Dryad Matron. We'll put the Dryad Matron in the correct row this time. But we don't have that many other cards beyond, well, we have a 3-card combo with Viraxis, Selkirk, and the Artificer, then that means we don't have a lot of stuff we're willing to play in this round. Okay, Helga is interesting in Fruits of Yizgith. They also should have played that turn 1. But, okay, you go melee row. We can remove that shield, of course. We can also heal off the damage on you. The intention is to use it on you. So we'll just do that now. I mean, we could block Helga if we really wanted to. Could actually remove Helga altogether with Champion's Charge. I'm just curious to see, is this a tactics deck? Because if it is, then Helga's really valuable. If it's not, then that was damage, and that's the only damage they're going to get. Ramon. We don't have any statuses, so that's not really a factor, but the armor's a little bit annoying. Okay, so now we go range row for this Treant Boar. You have Zeal. So I think we just go pure damage to remove Hefty Helga. It's not going to take us that long to do that. So I don't think we need to overreact to it too much. And even if they do remove Dryad Matron on this turn, I mean, at least she's given us a couple boosts. Abduction. Oh. Okay. Fair enough. Now we will remove Helga. And I'm half considering going Temerian Infantry. It's not that valuable, but it is, if we time it right now, a couple of boosted cards in the same row, and as I was saying, otherwise we don't have a lot of stuff we feel okay about using here. It's, granted it is going to have to hit some armor, which I don't love, but we're going to eventually want to break through that with the Treant Boars, or, you know, I guess we can hit whatever they play next, potentially. Okay, it's a lot of Nilfgaard soldiers. But they don't have... Or that's the one they created a copy of with Vermont. Okay, so we should have expected to see that. So we could Champion's Charge. I mean, they haven't really played anything big. We could just use it to remove Vermont. Could potentially damage these guys, but... I think we do this. We do that. Hey, yeah. Oh, well. Alright, now I guess we're doing that. Yeah. I was just hesitating for a second, wondering if we should instead try to set up Lugos, which we can set up to a certain extent here on this turn. Is that... No, it's Purification. Okay, so they aren't going for Poison. Alright, so if we do... Actually, if we hit you, we drop you down to 3. Lugos destroys you. I think that's the only way we can remove you on this turn. Yes, I am telling you to do that. And I'm also telling you... Okay. Just lose half our turn because the game decided that it didn't want us to play any cards. Right, I think we needed to hit the Cupbearer with the Treant Boar in order to have Lugos have enough damage to take it out, but there you go. So, yes, sufficient damage for us to do what we wanted to do, and we saved the combo we were trying to save. We did play one more card than our opponent. Now, this isn't necessarily enough to guarantee we win a round, so we definitely still want to see if we can do better. Weeping Willow, that could be decent. Rot Tosser, again, we don't really have the poison setup we're looking for. Herald, though, is arguably the weakest card in our deck, so we definitely want to mulligan that out in round 3. And, yeah, we played one more card, so we don't really have any intention of pushing here. We're just going to dry pass and get back on even cards in round 3. Oh, but that's solid. That's the perfect throwaway for them. They also... You can use Fruits of Yizkith. Use it. I mean, it doesn't matter in that circumstance, I suppose. Okay, so Verna Seal is a good addition. The Armored Arrakis, less so. The Toxicologist, it's a little bit of damage. Maybe that'll help with Donar, but your highest priority to get rid of... I think you're next. Delirium. Okay, would have preferred to have seen it in round 1, of course. This was one of the risks. It still works, of course, but it's just not quite as valuable. So when do we want... Oh, that's interesting. Does that count as working with Toxicologist? I don't know. They just stole our worst card. Haha. Okay, so now I think it's Weeping Willow that goes first. That's our most engine-y card. Still have our leader ability as well. That is something we should not forget about. But yeah, I think we probably wait for this a little bit. With the fully evolved Firaxis, you get Zeal with the order, right? Yeah, you do. Okay, so we could go second to last turn on this. You might get big. Let's see what that is. Oh, that's a little bit unfortunate. Although we can purify, so it actually happens to work fairly well. Yeah. Otherwise, we'd go we might want to get Trollolo down first. Put it next to him. If Trollolo happens to get locked, then that way we get double purification, and suddenly that's relevant. And if Trollolo doesn't get locked, then at least we get a turn of orders to power up Trollolo. Granted, purify you immediately, and you would have gotten boosted when we played Trollolo. Either way, it's one additional point. Okay, War Council, not bad. We'll see what they play through it. Location. Which one do they go? Which Viper Witcher do they go for? Adept. We do technically have one more card than they have. We could change that with Toxicologist. Except that I would... technically, you're not going to get boosted from the Harmony on this turn anyway, because we're going to have to play you before we can Purify. So we can go Toxicologist on this turn. So let's do this, and let's make it, I guess, you. Now we're on even cards in our deck, so you are no longer an engine. So not only was it 1 point of damage, it was actually shutting off a powerful card for them. Now, granted, they could tutor something out here, and then that would change. Oh, presumably they didn't have Siri earlier. Otherwise, they would have wanted to have played it. They also remembered to use that. Oh, okay, I mean, I suppose that is a way to make it so that the Adept will work again. Do we have any way to summon things out anymore? I don't think so. Okay, so now we should do this. Purify. So now you work. And hopefully this survives. I mean, we could have clicked the button, the order, gotten the boost immediately. It wouldn't have been that valuable, so would like to wait. Okay, well, bye-bye. Apparently we should have clicked it. No way of knowing that in advance, but it was the safe route, I suppose. But okay, so now we go Delirium. They're putting up a lot of points here for what it's worth. Delirium, I think just to see if we get an engine, it's worth checking. Oh. We could heal, though. But I do kind of like this. If we can destroy a card, we can get some solid value out of that. Or if we are split between 2 rows, that's going to be pretty effective. This is, it's not looking great for us right now, to be honest with you. We do have Bloodthirst 2 now, though, so we do get additional damage on Donar. I think we want to make sure we have time to use Selkirk, but now he's going to get hit by that, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Let's go here. We'll just get the removal. And we'll get the Seagulls out. Also, remember... Oh, we arguably want to imposter this. I mean, yes, it's... We're not going to get the engine value on it, but it denies them the engine value. They have some statuses in that row. What are they doing with slave infantry? Okay. I think we might do that. But we also kind of want to give ourselves some space for Vernacil, because we're running out of space. So... Order of operations. You're the final turn, I think. I think means we can still do this. Means we don't have room to imposter you. Alright, I hope you play something nice in the melee row, preferably. That's actually, if they're clever, a really nice way to work around our leader ability. Otherwise, it's just a lock and nothing else. Karen, no! Not the immunity! Not the immunity! Okay. Because we would have loved to have gotten something with high value to target with Selkirk. But, not when you have immunity. We cannot do that. You come next. Still can't lock you. I mean, we might just have to lock Vandergriff on our last turn, but we'll see. See what our options are. I mean, you could be the dueling target. In fact, might be able to make that work. I think we'll have enough reach with Selkirk once we put the shield on, assuming that you survive. Which you might not. Okay, you have a shield, which means we can't really go after you, which does kind of stink. But now, Selkirk, and I think we'll put the shield on him just in case they're about to throw some sort of damage his way. We'd like to keep the shield, of course. So you get Seal from Firaxis, so we can click on this order, and then we can click on it again after reactivating it with Firaxis. I still don't know if that's going to be enough, though. Speaking of dueling... No! Don't do that! Don't do that! That's illegal! No, that's extra illegal! Okay, fortunately you didn't hit the card that I was concerned about you hitting. And now we can also lock you... not that that's super valuable at this point. Oh. What if we lock Anses? Does he technically have Zeal in this situation? I'm not sure if he does. He does not. Okay, we need to make sure we have time to do this. Okay, please do this. Please do this. Please. Oh, gosh. Okay, thank you, draft mode, for not giving us... Oh, my goodness, no! No! Okay, thank you, draft mode, for not giving us as long to take our turns. Yeah, we had enough points to win that match, as you could see, if we just had time to click on that order ability. That I don't feel great about. Not even like we took that long to take that turn. It was just a fairly complex turn. Well, I think it is safe to say we deserved to win that match because we had the means to do so, but I do feel a little bit robbed there. Yes, ultimately, it's our fault for not playing quicker, but it doesn't mean it feels good. Especially knowing that in a normal match, when we have longer turn timers, since the draft turn timers are shorter, we would have absolutely still been able to pull that off, and we hesitated a little bit because we weren't sure if it was going to work locking on Stace. Such is the way of things. And also, I think there was a different target we could have locked in that case once we realized that Onsace wasn't going to work. The, what was it? Slave Infantry that would have been worth one more point would have at least tied them. So, very much a missed opportunity there, but if there's any silver lining to that cloud, it's that we may have lost, but we know that even in that situation, we had what it would have taken to win the match, so might not need dramatic changes here. For Syndicate, yeah, no thanks. Pastodi, potentially, could get him boosted and get some value out of that, but otherwise it's not great. Those other two, no thank you. Tree and 4, we already have a few of those guys in our deck. Gaetan, I mean, if we had him, that was the other problem, was we ran into some issues because we filled our range row, so we couldn't really use our lead ability when we wanted to. But if we had Gaetan for that, then we could get a ton of value from that. Thov does not have a single nature card to play, I don't believe. So it is not a tutor, and it is a 2-point body, which would become the worst card in our deck, which I think is probably reason enough for us not to take that. Snowdrop. A little bit of consistency. Do we have additional card draw from anything? Oh, hold on. Do we have additional card draw? And we also didn't get some of our best cards, but yeah. I mean, our combo, so, and what can we learn from that? So our combo with Varaxis, especially in round 3, Seltkirk, and Citrian Artificer is quite good. But it takes a long time. And especially with the animations that we're playing, that may take a little bit longer. And that's the other thing, is if I did not get to choose which card it targeted with the second duel, so there might have been a better target that would have won us that match as well. So lots of things that could have meant that we could have won that match if we just had longer to take our turn. So again, all that is to say that obviously we can't change that. Can't time travel. But it is an indication that maybe our deck is still in a solid place here, and we shouldn't feel the need to make any dramatic changes. So Snowdrop, I mean, yeah, a little bit of consistency. Iris Shade, the one card that kind of works with is... Where'd you go? Trollolo. Except that Trollolo can just activate his own order ability. So it's basically, do you boost Trollolo or do you boost Iris? So that doesn't really bring any additional value. Ethereal, not really. I think we're just saying no. I think we're skipping this. Again, like I said, don't overreact to that loss, because by almost every account, it really should have been a win. But, you know, can't really be too mad about it, given how, again, give us the usual turn timer and it would have been fine. But now we know. Now we know how long that combo takes. It's a long time. You gotta act quickly. Alright, so it's Skellige Blaze of Glory. They'll go first. Okay, so do like the Tree and 4 plus Dryad Matron combo. That's given us a lot of success thus far. Round 1, Torres, also very nice. Donar, Herald could kind of help set him up. Don't really have the support for Selkirk we're looking for. Let's dump the Arrakis. Trouble low. We do have at least a decent number of cards to set that up. Rod Tosser, not good. So I'm thinking we're going, let's see, Siege Tower, that's a boost. Thinking we're going Treant Boar first, although you could also go Weeping Willow first. Maybe we'll save that. We'll go here. We'll do what we've done many times before. Dry Matron next turn. I was debating whether to go Herald first if we had a need for damage more so than boost. Well, I mean, this is also damage. If we expected them to damage us, then Herald would be a way to circumvent that to a certain extent. And you're going to get pretty big. So there's potentially some value with a Champion's Charge. Okay, I mean, yes, you will hit us, but we are going to heal that off. Are they a dedicated siege deck? They might be. Okay, so we do this. So you're going to get bigger. You are not. You're going to deal damage. You are not. There's not going to be anything for you to damage on this turn. So basically, I'm just debating which one is better to save as a potential Champion's Charge target. We'll hit you, I guess, because you don't have armor. So maybe that's the differentiating factor. Oh, also, you'll get healed, boosted from that Dried Matron. Okay, that's a very early leader ability. Looks like they're going after the Treant Boar, at least I assume. Yeah, it's got to be, right? That's a pretty valuable card they use that on. Okay, I tell you what. Let's... Okay, that's unfortunate for them that they have Yorveth when they don't have any traps. Let's absolutely use Herald in this row. Get all the Herald's pals in this row, where they have no choice but to damage them with the Trebuchet. And that could be a nice way to counter their setup. Use their own power against them. And they say, no thank you. They are not a fan. Okay, so Torres obviously is big. It's just a question of, do we feel the need to use him here? Or do we settle instead for something smaller? Like, do we just throw a Rot Tosser? Because they passed really early. They saw this and they did not want to take any part of it. I think maybe we use this as an opportunity to do this. We really don't need to use Herald at all, because they're going to do the self-damage for us. So now we just play one more card of the throwaway variety. I mean, I do like the original Torres more so than the evolved Torres, because it's going to be kind of hard to find a card that's not from our starting deck. In fact, I don't even know what would qualify for that, besides something from Delirium, which is speculative. So, by some accounts, we really should have played Torres there, but we'll see. Alright, so we'll win round 1 with a card to spare. That's the important part, at least in the short term. Oh, that was extremely confusing. You sure that... Sure that that's Torres? Okay, I mean, I would have preferred for Axis, to be honest with you. But, okay. Delirium, that's great. That can be our throwaway, because we played more cards, but we have one throwaway here. Otherwise, maybe we dump you... Okay, yes, I love Morvid. Okay. So this is a way to give us a target for Torres, because otherwise, the Evolved Torres was going to be a bit tricky to make work here. But we use you, and this really doesn't matter much. In fact, this actually could go into our deck. Will go back into our deck. And that's, well, I mean, we could potentially draw into it, which would be not so great, but we might be able to get it back. I mean, very unlikely, but if we happen to get the Echoed Delirium somehow giving us a weather effect in both rows, then maybe we can make that happen. But that might backfire. If anything, it might just be a, one bad card that we've now suddenly put in our deck and we don't want to draw into it, so we'll see. But more importantly, we will get the Echoed Delirium in round 3, and I think we'll just leave it at that, because if we pass here, we'll get back up to the full 10 cards in round 3. That's some carryover potential, though, with Chrome Mother, and that's not bad. But it does, by taking one extra turn that they didn't need to take, it does mean more of it gets a little bit bigger. They obviously don't know that, though. We have Last Say, so that could be a good way to sneak in Morvid and hopefully not give them a chance to do anything to stop them. Okay, and we get Apiary Phantom could be a good early play, as could be Treant Boar. Still don't have good setup at least for Selkirk. We're using Treant Boar primarily for Champion's Charge and Apiary Phantom to a certain extent. You're also early. Okay, we do have a lot of engines here. It's a little bit tricky. I think we can still make this work. You're not that valuable without the additional setup, so I think don't prioritize that too much. Don't worry about it. Oh. Okay, well, there's a card we want to hit with damage. Although, hear me out, not a bad imposter target. They haven't used their lead ability yet. This is just grayed out because they don't have any viable targets because we don't have any units, right? So, I mean, they could just hit our Dire Mutated Hound, but I guess we'll go here and then, you know, this turn we'll hit you, remove the armor, and then at that point, it's no longer an engine. Unless they do something to complicate that, but we'll see. Like that. I was debating going Apiary Phantom first. We have any way to boost you on this turn? We got rid of our purification, didn't we? Yeah, darn, okay. Potentially several ways we could have prevented that from happening, but now let's go, I guess we'll go Weeping Willow. That's another engine. Do this just to... yes, do that. Make you no longer an engine. One boost, one armor, one anything, and that would have survived, and then healed itself on our next turn, which does kind of stink. I did not even see they had Sunset Wanderers. Okay, that's huge. That just becomes our preferred target for a Champion's Charge. Granted, we lost our best way to set up Champion's Charge, so that kind of stinks. All right, but now let's use you. You are an engine we want to play early. You have Veil, so good card to put next to the Weeping Willow with that infusion. Okay, they have Purification. Well, alright, that's a little bit unfortunate. We don't know what Delirium is going to give us. So to a certain extent, there is something to be said for playing that early. Trouble Low is another card we'd kind of like to play early, though. So let's use that. Let's put you in the row that does not have the bad status in it. There is still a case to be made for... I mean, we could actually lock you and then purify that. I'm not that concerned about it. I'm going to do this. If we want to do it, we should do it early, so that way we have time to gain the value. They can... oh, they're not even going to try to hit you. Okay, so that's not bad. I think we go here. Oh. Oh, Yustiana is actually a great card to replay with Torres. Could be hilarious, but we do not want to not want to discard you right now. Okay, so let's do this. And that. And if we replay you, assuming this survives, which it might not, it will, unless your adrenaline... well, you're going this row, though. They're really committing to this. Okay, so now we do Torres. But maybe put Torres in this row, just because they're so committed to using the Girds. Replay you. Yes. And then... trying to get... yeah. Perfect. Another card... damage, so now we have the Bloodthirst 3, which means we can use this to remove Sunset Wanderers. That was the plan, at least. There is Crow Mother coming back. Purify that. That doesn't matter, I don't think. Madman Lugos is also reasonably valuable at this stage, but let's do this. I mean, we technically could wait a little bit to see if there's a better option later on, but I think that's a fairly safe bet at this point. You're going to get damaged by this. I'm going to do this. It's potentially a little preemptive. Just going to play it a little bit safe there. Okay, Lesser Witch. We do need to play Selkirk probably on this turn. We could either be this turn or next turn, but might be set up for Madman Lugos, so might as well put you down. I mean, I'd rather not put you next to that. Go there. Again, you're not as big a deal as you might have otherwise been if we had additional setup. We don't, so live with it, but more of it is the big finishers. Oh. Okay, well, that's why they didn't concern themselves too much with the Dire Mutated Hound, as it turns out. It's a very nice Morpharg. Now, what is the best target for Madman Lugos? Probably this Scourge, because it's the biggest card they have. And now for you, I think it's probably this. There we go. And we're not going to have any... we can have one more order. Okay, we don't really have a lot of time here, so we'll use this order next turn, then we'll boost you. Assuming nothing else happens, we'll see. I mean, we have a 19-point finisher, and a little bit more value coming from these two, potentially. So things are still looking decent, depending on what their last card is. And maybe they just rage quit? I mean, it's not like this is ridiculous. Maybe they are really frustrated with how, despite playing a really nice Morkvarg, we still were able to catch up to them. I mean, it's still possible for them to win this. They don't know that we have an amazing finisher. But it does very much look like this is a rage quit at this point. Little unfortunate. But again, and there's the, we made some changes. We added the Delirium, and was a little tricky, especially with the evolved Torres, but we made it work. And, if we were taking that last turn, I imagine we would have won by a lot. Again, they wouldn't have known that, but alright, fair enough. Sorry, we don't GG people who waste people's time like that by forcing us to wait while you did not have the respect to forfeit. So, okay, then we can make changes to the deck if we'd like to. Don't want to go the Syndicate route, though. Definitely not with that. Do we get enough value here? That's bad. Lock, I mean, little bit of value, a little bit of control. I don't think we have enough cards in our deck for Brains to be that useful for us. So I think we probably don't bother there. This might be a skip. Let's just double check. Portal at this point is Toxicologist, potentially. That's not very good, because we miss out on the deployability, just a 4-point body. Yeah, I think this is the same situation we saw Portal in before, where Triad Matron is great. Centurion Artificer, not bad. But that's only 3 potential targets, 2 of which are good, 1 of which is not good. And if we have any of them in hand, or if we've already played any of them, then Portal is a pretty big waste. And then the Iron Falcon Infantry... I mean, it's potentially an engine. Watchman is potentially another source of shields for Selkirk, so that's arguably the best card we have in this set, but I don't think that's reason enough to include it, so I think we skip. Because remember, adding one of those sets means we have to remove one of the sets that we currently have, and I think chances are we'd have to remove a set that's better than whatever we would have just added. Okay, so let's hop back in. And I think the previous match was a pretty good showing. And that was still... Well, we didn't play Morvid, but we had him. There were at least a few cards. We didn't have Varaxis. We didn't have as much setup on Selkirk. We used Delirium. Anything else this time around that we want to be mindful of? Just if we do find ourselves with Torres evolving, we need to be careful. It's another Fruits of Yizgith player. It's also another Mask of Ouroboros player. Okay, we do have Varaxis. We'd like to have someone with a good order to reuse. We definitely don't want Herald Gord. Love seeing Delirium round 1, that way we can get the echoed copy. Vernaseal, not bad. I think we dump... It's probably Artificer now. Granted. Granted. I was about to say. Although we didn't have Selkirk, that was the one card that the one we mulliganed for was good for. And now we could have had the full setup for it. But, such is the way things... Oh, it's milled. I mean, there's no way they have a full dedicated mill deck in this event. Or in draft mode, but... Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I mean, obviously they top decked our best card. So there's that. But also I have no respect for anyone whose sole purpose is to go out here and try to ruin our day and waste our time by not allowing us to play Gwent. So also that's a very questionable move to damage the card that can heal all the damage that you just dealt to it. Okay. So let's go... I mean, we've done this many times before. You know the deal at this point. Melee row is where we want to put this. We'll hit you. You'll get boosted a little bit, which is not a huge deal, because as long as you survive this... Okay, well, apparently we needed one more point to survive that, and then we could have healed it all off. So, what we're going to do in that case is we're going to play our other Tree and 4. And we're not going to hit their Tree and 4, because that would be silly. They're going to heal off that damage. We're going to instead hit you. Wow. Okay, bold strategy to pass so early. And in that case, we can play basically anything, and we'll catch them. And I think we might as well just go... Temerian Infantry is probably our weakest card. It's definitely our weakest card. Well, we can use Delirium as the throwaway in round 2. Because we'll have enough... They pass so early, we'll have enough cards that we can still do some things in round 2, even if we don't try to push. So, yes, we want to make sure we get the echoed copy of that by the time round 3 rolls around, but it's not that big of a rush yet. Okay. Like Lugos, I mean, we had a lot of our damage in round 1 there, so it's going to be a little bit harder to set him up. But you're definitely good. Early round engine. Let's dump Rot Tosser. Herald Gord, get rid of it. Okay, there we get the Artificer. So we do have the combo now. As we learned, need to be very decisive with it. Need to be quick. Let's go Delirium, and that... I mean, we technically have 2 throwaways here. We might just use Delirium, though, depending on what else ends up happening. Because our other cards are pretty good. I mean, you are a good first turn play for what it's worth. So you are our weakest card, so if we really wanted to, we could throw this away. But it does work well with what we have. They are so... I mean, it is difficult to have this many disrespectful cards in draft mode. They went out of their way to do it. Some people, man. Some people. And you wonder why people don't like playing this game anymore. Yeah, it's because nobody wants to play against jerks like this. But, I mean, we still have out-tempoed them. They will need to play another card. Again, we could have used another throwaway, but we don't really want to use any of these. So I think... Was the other... Yeah, we tried to use Imposter on the same turn that we used the Varaxis plus Selkirk plus Artificer combo. Okay, it's just... That's their throwaway. So I think that's one other thing we can learn is... By reducing the number of things we're trying to do on our last turn, and, you know, we don't necessarily need to do it on our very last turn, but... by reducing the number of things we're trying to do, that makes it easier for us to squeeze all that stuff in. Okay, we have a lot of finishers. We didn't have as many... engine. So yeah, Strong Tapir and Phantom, good. We get the Echo Delirium, that's nice. We still like you. Okay, engine. I think we'll still try to use Varaxis. We'll probably have to go Melee Row to give him Zeal. But he does still work there. Obviously, it does kind of stink that he got weakened, but I think we can still make it work. Okay. I'm assuming we don't want to hit Penitent, but I could be proven wrong. So let's go Weeping Willow first. We'll go Melee Row, then we'll probably go after that with the Apiarian Phantom. Oh, we didn't get Morven. True. That is one thing that might have been worth doing a little more mulliganing for, because, yes, we have some decent stuff. Like Madman Lugos, we don't have a ton of setup for him. That's probably the card that we could have chosen to just get rid of. Okay, Alba Spearman. No statuses, no big deal. Apiarian Phantom, let's get you down. So we would kind of like to use this leader ability in the pretty near future. Alright, Brewis. Here. Go Trololo, that is... should now be all of our engines, unless we get an engine from Delirium. We don't know. We might want to play this next just to be sure. I mean, of course, it might be a finisher, it might be an engine, we don't know. It's, at this point, basically mid-round. Okay, you're gonna boost that and then play something. Oh. Curious what you do with triangle and a triangle. You go damage? You go damage. Damage the card that you just boosted. Alright, I think we, on net, still got more boost than damage for that, besides you getting a 4-point Palmerin. Let's do this. Fukusia. Ooh. Fukusia into what? Could be very interesting. Well, I mean, it is definitely her. Let's do this. I guess we'll do you. I mean, plenty of options there. Lots of turns for Rain. But yeah, it could have been Point Slam with the bear. It could have been Engine with Treant Boar. Granted, they're going to consume that. No way of knowing that that was going to happen, but apparently that was not the right choice. Alright, so... now, if we can get just a little more damage stuff, we could actually set up a Champion's Charge removal, which we could use on Toad Prince or something else. So... what if we go Lugos on you? I mean, granted, you could consume and potentially, that might lead to you becoming boosted again, or at least not damaged anymore. And also, Vernoseal is the other thing we have here that is not super time sensitive. Is anything about you have arm? Oh, that's not good. Uh-oh. I don't like that. Okay. Well, not much we can do to change that. I mean, at the moment, it's a 7-point Toad Prince, which is not amazing removal. So maybe we'll bide our time a little bit and go Vernoseal here. And, I mean, you have the armor, so it is still kind of difficult for them to destroy this. So I think we will keep it unused for the time being. And we probably do need to use you on the next turn, because otherwise this might get destroyed by the rain. No, don't do that, though. Ah! Everything that could go wrong is going wrong. Except they were very slow. Okay, they did... oh. Well, they were very slow. So much so that they poisoned themselves, so we don't have any way to punish them for that. But that does have Assimilate. I don't remember if Draft... no, it does not automatically trigger every turn with Draft. Might sneak in the Artificer now. Obviously, we don't need the Order ability just yet. If they could somehow get something else damaged, that'd be great. Could we actually have this be our final play? Maybe. If you put something there... okay, well... you got rid of our highest provision card. But we do have more of it in deck. Now you become the best Champion's Charge target if we can get something else damaged. Which, granted, something is getting destroyed in this row on that turn. On this turn. Yeah. Okay. That kind of stinks. Alright, I think we're getting Self-Kirk down now. I think we are. Should click on some of this stuff. Yeah, because we're not going to get any more types of units, so we should click on this, just minimize the number of clicks we have, because we know this turn, if we are about to go double Self-Kirk, takes a lot of time to do. Who on you? Okay, fine. Good thing we waited on Firaxis in that case. Okay, so now we go here. We go... and they'll forfeit. Alright, fair enough. Fair enough. That works too. Alright, and... I mean, yes, they forfeited, which was... at least they didn't rage quit, but I have no respect for someone who deliberately went out of their way on numerous occasions to try to make our lives miserable. I refuse to GG you for that reason. Alright, so... as for... any changes we might want to do. Again, they really want us to take Syndicate cards every time we get a Syndicate option. No thank you. I mean, Boreal's still 4 damage, but we're not going to have the tribute ability available to us. Hemmelfart, no. Cut Up Lackey, no. Scoia'tael, Dennis. I mean, technically, Trollolo does benefit from Dennis. Dunka hand buff is not a bad idea. Purification Vitality, this is not terrible. Triangle within a triangle and last... Double triangle within a triangle and Last Wish. That's also actually not terrible. Last Wish is risky, because you're potentially going to have to banish one of your really good cards. If you use it in round 3, though, when you're not going to be able to play whatever card you banished anyway, then it's not that much of a risk. If you use it in round 1 and then you banish a good card that you might have otherwise drawn into, then suddenly that feels bad. But that is nice in that it gives us potentially a little bit of consistency, which I think we might have had it early on, but we got rid of some of that as time went on. So... is this good enough? Because remember, of course, we will have to remove a set whenever we add a set. Do we have any sets that are glaringly things that we want to remove? So I feel like, yes, while we do have some cards that we don't like Herald. What set is Herald in? Who came with Herald? Probably one of the Treant Boars. And... I don't remember who else. Was it one of the matrons? Then the other thing is Armored Arrakis is basically an automatic mulligan, but if that is one of the things that came with Morphid, which it might have been, then there's no way we're getting rid of that. So, although these are a little bit tempting, I might still keep this. Trollolo has not been that effective, because whenever we've tried to play it, it's gotten answered, or it's been the last of the various engines we've played, and we therefore have not had that much time to set it up. What came with that? Was that the no, Temerian Infantry came with Braxis, right? Was it Selkirk that came with Trollolo? In which case, we would still like to keep that. Yeah, I think we're keeping everything we have here. No super glaring weaknesses that we need to cover up for here. If it ain't broke, and yeah, it may not be perfect, but it also ain't broke, then don't fix it. Okay, let's see what we get here. It is White Frost, and we'll go first. We have Rolocked stuff. We do with Selkirk, at least, and with Apiarian Phantom. Technically, the Apiarian Phantom order is not the end of the world if we lose it, because it does still get boosted even if it gets moved out. Okay, we have Selkirk. That means Centurion Artificer is useful. We have you. Oh, dump you. Okay. This is our first time seeing skill. I don't love this hand at the moment, but I think we'll still stick with it. It's a lot of point slams. Not a lot of, or late round plays at the very least. And not very engine heavy, which means early round's a little bit tricky, and it also means that we potentially might get stuck with a whole bunch of engines in round 2 or round 3 and not a lot of point slams, so we probably want this round to be short. Let's play you first. We'll use you on Selkirk. That much is nice. We can still play you, which is good, but I was kind of hoping we'd get the Treant Boar that we have gotten so many times before because we have multiple of them. Okay, now that... oh, okay, well that... it also baits out the leader ability. I mean, it to a certain extent, it makes sense they did it. On the other hand, as I said, you do still get boosted, even once you've been moved, so it's a little bit of a trap. We won't be able to use the order, but I think we'll be fine there. That's just one more turn of Frost. I'm just wondering if there's a way to make Herald effective here, but no, I think we keep it simple. Just do that. Alba Pikemen. More damage. Okay. So, could we... I mean, we could just remove you altogether with Champion's Charge if we really want to. Obviously, there is some high-end potential for this, so not thrilled about that. Could also go wide with Vernal Seal. That's a decent way to work around you. I think we might do that. Again, want to try to keep some of these point slams so that we still have some in later rounds. Otherwise, that could be a pretty glaring omission. Okay, but we might go Herald here. Kind of a pseudo point slam, pseudo engine, bit of a hybrid, really. Because we could use his order to get more damage. But if it hits Botchling, they can flip it. And then they don't have to worry about the damage anymore. So this might... Oh, not you. You. Might just be a risk that we choose to take. Or we might just not click on Herald's order. War Chariot. You have a lot of movement. A lot of movement. Okay. So... can use Herald if we'd like. Well, we could pass here if we really want to. We take enough damage that they would need to play one more card to catch us, but they can definitely do that. Skjall, I don't like when Botchling is on the board. That's one of the issues. I think we do this. Just was causing us issues in several different ways. Now, we might not have the potential for some big removal from Champion's Charge, but we have Madman Lugos set up, potentially. That's not great for us. Madman Lugos also needs to go melee row, which kind of stinks, but now we can actually play Skjall. And then now I'm just thinking of, okay, so we still have enough point slams for round 2/3, Selkirk, Morvid. I think we're still okay in that regard. Put you there. Do this. Okay, not bad. Now that means bigger Madman Lugos. Although we could have technically gone Lugos and just destroyed you. Might still be worth doing. Hand buff. Interesting. Okay, then move in Skjall into a row where he'll take damage from the Frost. Don't know if they're going to have ways to follow up for even more damage on him, but wanted to at least wait until we'd gotten rid of the Botchling. So basically, this is probably the last turn we want to take in this round, meaning, do we want to play Madman Lugos? I think we kind of have to. It's potentially worth doing that first, but I didn't want to lose, get rid of the Temerian Drummer. Okay, we really need to pass on our next turn. Just hope they don't catch us here, so we're in a bit of an awkward spot where we don't have a huge lead. Brayan? Move you again. Okay. We will be at exactly... oh no, we'll have 21 points at the end of our turn because AP and Phantom will get a boost. So they will also be at 21 though because of Temerian Drummer, which means if they want to, they have the choice of tying at 21 on even cards. I think we have to live with that. So we're in a bit of a... just a strange dynamic in this round where neither one of us was really able to pull away. Okay, so they settle for, ooh, the tie, which with Morvid means less time to set that up, which kind of stinks. But point slammy round 2, in all likelihood, because this is going to go pretty short. Do you evolve if we tie? You did evolve. Okay. Varaxis. Okay, we do have the full combo. Is it? It is still Zeal. Yeah. Okay, I don't think we have any way to use you, though. Oh, except if we don't have any targets, you will still give us something. Okay, so that still should be fine. Okay, I think your turn 1. You generator. I mean, in a relatively short round, you don't have a lot of time to benefit from that. So that also gives us time to get you down. And next turn, we can actually use it on whatever you play. We might go Torres next. Probably gonna lock this. Especially because you have a status as well. Then... probably... well, you might end up being the target for dueling. So let's hit you. Oh, right, we haven't played a card yet. I knew that. Oh! True. Okay, technically, our order of operations there was... bad. No other way to put it. It was bad. So we would have liked to have used that, or if we had already used the order ability, then it would have been good. But Rayla, that's a card we'd like to hit. Wouldn't be a bad target for leader ability either. Obviously, too late for that though. I think Artificer, which hopefully sneaks by undetected. Hit you. You could have been a target, of course, for Selkirk, but you're still already... Oh, okay, that's terrifying. Please use... Yes, thank you. Well... Okay, so we can't use Selkirk now, otherwise he will get moved and completely shut down. So... Because they will be able to use Radovid on their next turn, so we can't immediately remove you. Okay, so yeah, it has to be for... Either it's slightly early Morvid, or it's Viraxis a little bit early as well. Do that. Do this. We'll do this. Save you. At least you're not inspired anymore. Vadier's lock, man. They're not making this easy on us. They waste the last leader ability charge, yes, but Vadier is enough to shut down Selkirk, and therefore enough to shut down Viraxis. I don't like that. We can heal you, so there is that. I mean, maybe the Morvid is going to be enough of a point slam that we'll be fine either way. I guess... I mean, we don't have an option. We have to play you, because you don't have Zeal. I guess we'll do this too. Maybe we'll reactivate this ability. Oh, okay, no. He gets locked, as expected. Bellahun, last play. Okay, it doesn't matter. That is not going to work out for them. So, don't need to play the Morvid. We've already won here, and they'll forfeit. Okay, so another win. Again, further evidence that perhaps we don't need to mess much with this list. Finally, we don't get Syndicate as one of the options, which means we actually have 3 options we might consider. Adalia, Knighthood, Carabalista. I think that just doesn't work with the cards we have. Adalia, what, for an extra Matron, pretty much, and that's about it. Another Artificer, so that the second time around when we reactivate Selkirk with Viraxis, we can also get a shield for Selkirk's second duel. No, that's just way too ambitious. Knighthood, technically we do have a knight. I suppose it does work, but only one knight, have him in hand, or if we've already played him, and then this is a complete brick, so no thank you. Carabalista is arguably the best card there. Haunt. With Succubus is the only Death Wish card, no thank you. Neutral. Avalok, not terrible. One of the 2 unicorns, not very useful. Oxford Scholar, one of the worst cards in the game. No thank you, I think we're skipping. Okay, so this looks like our final match. Let's see what we can do here. And at this point, our one black mark is just that match that we, by all accounts, should have won. So, you know, we'll see how we fare in our final one. But who do we match up against here? It's, okay, Imprisonment will go first. Interesting. So they have a lot of control, at least from their leader ability. And as we saw in the previous match, it is possible for some of our engines to get shut down. We do have some point slams, fortunately, Skjall included. But, okay, Temerian Infantry, we'd probably like to drop you. We do have a little bit of Veil, so that can circumvent their control to a certain extent. Not seeing the stuff that synergizes with the Artificer. Okay, we get Viraxis, so we get our Duelist, wherever he might be. Is he in our hand right now? Did I not see him? Okay, anyways, turns are shorter, so... he is in our hand. Okay, we should have kept... In that case, we should have kept the person who would give us the shield. We could have. I mean, it's still not that bad. Probably should have gotten rid of Toxicologist instead. That's an interesting choice. I mean, yes, it's damage. He had armor. I see. I was gonna say, that was highly questionable. Otherwise. But it is frustratingly still effective in this case, even though by most accounts, that was a huge misplay. That makes me kind of mad. But, who was going to be the engine that I was going to play next? I guess we'll go here. I mean, that's not really who I wanted to play next, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure I had something else in mind. But we could play Trololo next and then use Herald, hit these, and suddenly Trololo is getting boosts. And we might be able to, maybe we can out-damage the Apiarian Phantom. Oh, and, I was thinking maybe get enough cards damage that we can use Donar to get a bigger chunk of damage. Granted, that's going to be difficult when you have a shield and you have now a boost. But we can try. That. We'll try this. Okay. Not bad. Urchin. Alright, they're getting all the veiled stuff. Not that that matters too much for us, other than Toxicologist. Okay, that is an unfortunate card to get boosted, though. Because I am trying to get rid of that. Okay, Point Slam. I mean, we should Delirium. Ooh. If we did it. That's the second thing we did this turn. It would have been even better, but... Go 1, 2, I guess 3. Do this. We got very unlucky with how that damage got split. Elder Bear. Okay. Oh, we were on blue coin. Yes. Okay. We need to be kinda wary here, because we are not doing great from a tempo standpoint right now. But let's do this. Okay, now it's Bloodthirst 2, which means we can hit for 4, which means that's almost enough to remove you, but it still isn't. I think we'll do it anyway, but not thrilled about that. We do have tempo with Skjall. I'm wary of playing him when they have Helga, so we can at least add other sources of damage, apparently, like that as well. So, and, you know, they flip that. They have some pretty good tempo there. So this is the turn where we have to decide, do we think we can catch them? Or are they going to be able to out-tempo us and then we run the risk of losing on even? So this just breaks even here. I think we're passing. That's Swears plus leader ability to steal the Apiarian Phantom, crazy as it was probably the deciding play of that round. Just couldn't make up for it. Couldn't get enough damage to shut it down. Alright, so we're on even cards here. I expect them to try to push. We have Treant Boar, good engine. Champion's Charge, not bad. Delirium is now stronger. Let's dump Toxicologist. Morvid, I mean, would rather not have to play him in this round, but obviously he is a very good card. We'll settle for this. Now, if they do try to bleed us, then yes, we will eventually get forced into playing some big stuff. But we shall see. Okay, so playing Ratcatcher S first is questionable, because if we damage it, then it's gonna take bonus damage. So I think we still go Treant Boar. Treant Boar is not enough tempo-wise. That's probably why they played it. They just think they can out-tempo us. Skjall does out-tempo them. We kind of have to play Skjall. We don't have a choice. Don't like playing him turn 1, because it means they have lots of time to find a way to damage him. But if their plan was just play one high-tempo card and try to out-tempo... Alright, that's another way you can destroy Skjall. Not the way I thought you were going to destroy him, but it is a way to destroy him. Okay, so... Then, I mean, we could always break out leader ability if we really needed to, and that is pretty valuable on Ratcatcher S. But, I mean, in a long round, Treant Boar is good against Ratcatcher S to deal double damage to it. It's just that it's not enough tempo-wise right now, so they now have a pretty good play to pass. So they very well may choose to do that. But we didn't really have a workaround for that unless we were going to use Leader Ability. I'm also kind of betting that they're going to be too greedy to pass on this turn anyway. Because they're too greedy to pass on this turn anyway. Ooh. Vigo. That is an engine. Not thrilled about that lock. But at least they're without their leader ability at this point. I think we might be kind of relying on Delirium, or at least we very much want to see what Delirium gives us at this stage. We could Purify. That's actually pretty valuable. I think we do it. I mean, yes, double damage on Ratcatcher S would be really nice, but I'm also eyeing getting the Bloodthirst. I mean, you are going to get boosted on this turn, all likelihood, right? You might not. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, that's big. I don't like that. I expect them to use it. No, they won't use it turn 1. Or as soon as they get it. I'm kind of surprised. Okay, so we heal, and then we don't quite have the setup for the Bloodthirst 3, but we're close. I think we probably go tempo with Vernoseal. Now we are out-tempoing them. And as long as we can hit something with Treant Boar on this turn, but they're going to lock it, obviously, then we would have been able to Champion's Charge. Okay. Fine. If you insist. Heimdall's pretty solid. I mean, we did happen to have everything lined up on that turn. Oh, goodness. Alright, so they're going to be rewarded for their greed, potentially. Which I do not respect. Sabbath. We pretty much have no choice. I mean, I guess it could have been a Selkirk dueling target, which we're about to have to do at this point. Okay, that's the sign that they're going for the 2-0 rather than the bleed. I mean, they have a huge lead here, don't get me wrong, but obviously Selkirk has a lot of reach here. So, would have loved to have seen the shield on this occasion. But the other thing we could do, yeah, we could have potentially locked the Treant Boar and then use that Treant Boar to hit them. All right, it has to be Selkirk here. Question is, do we do this? And we might have to. Kind of unfortunate that it's in that row, in fact, because it means it takes one more turn for us to do this. Shoop, stay off. No, that does not do enough for to make up for what you've done to us in this round. Resilience, that's what they wanted. Did they get it? They probably did. No? Okay, so now move you. It's Firaxis here. Obviously, this is a combo we wanted to save. I assume we want you in the melee row. Loved if we could have... we could have gone for Shoop Knight there. That was the right choice. And it probably would have been enough. I didn't want to go for anything big on the first one, at least, because I knew we were going to reuse. They got... Technically, it's a misplay. But boy, does it feel like they got away with one there. Technically, it is a misplay. Obviously, losing Morbid, that could have been a fantastic card for us in a short round 3. That was not cool. Alright. Alright. Lovely. Lovely. My favorite. My favorite. Congratulations, you won. You're rewarded for your disrespect. Because that is the state of Gwent, We encourage people, we encourage bad behavior, and we look the other way until it becomes so regular that we forget that once upon a time, people would be looked down upon for what this person did. And granted, this is not the worst that we've seen in this run here, but... Oh boy! I wonder if they can't score 4 points with their last 2 cards. Yeah, oh, well, and they have a Morbid, obviously. Alright. Yeah, I mean, this one is, at least, to a certain extent, certainly my fault in that round 2 there. But, boy, does that leave a sour taste in my mouth nonetheless. To the point where, still GG you, but, it's a sour note to finish the run on when it seemed so good for so long, and one match that we should have won, but didn't, and if that was our only blemish, then we could have basically said that was, you know, as good of a run as you could have reasonably expected. 5 wins, though, at the end of it, and I am actually very surprised that we did not get more than this for winning 5 matches, because this does not feel very generous. But, alright then. Of course, we win 1 more match, and we might have been looking at a bit of a sweeter pot at the end, but 1 keg, some scraps, some meteorite powder. I guess that's a somewhat reasonable amount of meteorite powder. That's maybe where we got most of the value from, but I don't know. I'm not a meteorite powder guy. For the most part, was quite successful, as I was just saying there. We'd won match, we won 5 out of 7, so on the whole, that is definitely still a very good win percentage. Obviously, we lost 1 match that we just needed more time to click on all of our orders, and then we would have won, so that feels like it, you know, was almost 6 wins there, and then the last one, I made a mistake that, hard to say if it would have been enough for us to win in round 3, because they still had a big Morbid finisher themselves, but then we drew into, you know, basically all of our worst cards in round 3 anyways, so they probably still would have won that one. So, yeah, on the whole, still quite good, just frustrating the ones that we did lose. But I think we will end it there, because that's the full draft run. So thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.